my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with a continuation, part 4 of the Virus Meets Granny Kaleidoscope blanket. Thank you all so much for joining me today. How are all of you doing? Doing fabulous, because we basically get to put a cap on this project, and I'm super duper excited. Big thank you to all of you for joining me today, and a big thank you to Lion Brand for sponsoring this video series. And yeah, let's get to it, shall we? So we are going to continue on with some of the granny stitches. Now, like I said at the end of the last video, this is essentially a recap of stuff that we've already done, but for the sake of being thorough, I figured I would keep going for a bit more. So when you're ready to add more of the granny stitching, and we're in one of our corners right now, well, this is the bridge in between a virus cluster and our corner here. So in the bridge here, this first space, that counts as 1, skip 1, that's 2, skip 1, 3, skip 1, that's 4, skip 1, that's 5. So we're going to be working into this eyelet right here. If we worked into this one, that would be the dead center. We don't want to work into that one. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So into this eyelet right here is where we're going to start in with our granny stitching. Give myself a nice tail here. Pull up my yarn. There we go. And chain up 3. 2 more doubles into that same space. There we are. Skipping our next space, going to the next one with 3 doubles. And we are not doing chain 1 spaces in between the clusters. And to demarcate the corner, going to add a stitch marker right here. And we're going to do this with all 4 of our corners. And at this point, really quite simply, just going to do our granny clusters all the way across this edge. And it's going to be very familiar to the last time we did this, with one slight exception, but we will get there. So skip a space, cluster into the next with 3 doubles. Skip a space, cluster into the next. So just 3 doubles, no chain spaces in between. And this is, as I've said before a million times, this is my favorite part of the project because it goes by really quite effortlessly and smoothly and quickly. And we've already finished up one corner. This should be to the right, sorry, to the left of our marker. It should be a total of 5 already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right I am. It's a rarity, but hey, that works. Okay, so then skipping over this bridge space, going into this next space with our next cluster. And keep on keeping on. Skip a space, going into the next. Skip a space, going into the next. And so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly what I've been doing. Going to do my cluster into here and into here, not into this bridge space here, until I get to about here. So give me a moment, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm almost to where our 2 virus sections meet, and just got a couple more clusters to go. Basically, what I'm doing is showing you that we're really not doing anything, new, but in case if there's any doubt, well, that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. I'm here to try to put your minds at ease and to clarify that we're just skipping spaces and doing clusters in the next. See, all of this is exactly the same. Cluster, skip a space, cluster, skip a space, etc., etc. And this bridge space that we skipped is really no different than this bridge space. We're going to skip it. Okay, so went into the one right before the bridge, skip the bridge, go into the next one with another cluster. And then keep on keeping on in exactly the same fashion until you hit the corners, which the only difference is that you want to mark where your corner is for the following round, just like we did previously. That way you know where to do your increasing on the next round. So it's really that easy. Now, the difference between this section of granny stitches and the last section of granny stitches down there is we need to do an additional round. The last section was 8 rounds. This one, we need a total of 9 rounds. And I'm not about to say I completely understand the math myself, but I know what works. Okay, so we got a cluster there. Skip this bridge here, going into that next one. And so on and so forth. It's really that easy. And as soon as we get to the corner here, I'm just going to keep on keeping on in the exact same fashion for the rest of this round. And then I can meet back up with you for beginning bits of the following round. And then, well, after a total of 9 rounds of granny stitching, then we can resume with more of the virus, perhaps. So skip this bridge. Oh wait, no, I have to finish 2 more doubles in here, don't I? There we go. See, I get talking and I get distracted. Skip the bridge, going into the next with 3 doubles. And we are just about at the corner point now. And we need to do a total of 5, then the marker. So this is our first. Skip. And this one's going to make 2. Skip makes 3. Skip makes 4. Skip, and this one makes 5. And then, so we have something to put our marker, and I'm going to do 1 more. There we go. So, pull out this loop a little bit more. Okay, now, looking at our corner, just like before, we got the bridge right here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into this space right here, we put our next marker. There we go. And there you are. So just going to keep on keeping on in the exact same way for the rest of this round, and I will meet back up with you in just a bit. All right, so I'm almost done with the first round of the new granny section. Gonna finish it up with you guys. Skip that one, cluster in the next, and then of course, slip stitch to join. Grab the tail there. Okay, now going into the top of this first chain 3 that we did. A little bit fiddly, but I'm sure I can get in there. There we go. And then into here. Ta-da! Okay, slip stitch. Come on. See, it's kind of the problem of doing your initial chain a little bit tightly. Bear with me. I'll get there. I promise. There we go. See? Told you I'd do it. Okay, and then this tail, of course, I can sew in later. Now, to continue on, just as we did previously, slip stitch into the next double. Again, into the next double. Just slip stitch right into there. And then slip stitch in between these two clusters where we have the markers. And this is where our first corner is going to be. So chain up 3, 2 more doubles into that same space. Chain 2, and then I can get rid of this marker. I can do that. Thank you. There we are. It's been swelled, but the swelling's gone down. So we did our 3 doubles, our chain 2, and then 3 more doubles into that same space, and that is going to mark our corner. And we're going to do that whenever we hit a marker. That's going to be our fresh corner. So right now, just from here all the way to the other corner where we have our other marker, just 3 doubles in the space in between our clusters. That's really all there is to it. Okay, so going to keep working our stitches as normal, so cluster into here, and then when you reach your next marker, 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles, and then just keep going. And then join just as we did right here. You would do a cluster into this space right here, and then slip stitch join into the top here, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch, chain up 3, 2 more doubles, chain 2, 3 more doubles, and boom. So like I said before, this right here, this was the first, and we need a total of 9 rounds of these granny clusters, and then you can get started on the next tier should you choose to do so. Okay, so I'm going to get busy working off camera, and I'm going to do my 9 rounds, and I will see you shortly. Be right back. Okay, so I've been stitching, and I did a total of 9 rounds of the granny stitch. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9 rounds. And then I went ahead already and I started doing the next tier of triangles, which I'm going to show you. Also, by the way, after the 1 skein of Pound of Love, this is how much I have left. And I am definitely going to have to go into a second skein for when I do another layer of the granny stitching. So just keeping you apprised and appraised as to how much yardage you're going to need. You're going to need a lot. I'm only going to be doing, this next tier of triangles. I'm not going to be going any further than that. So I wouldn't be able to advise you how much yarn you would need, after. Now, as far as the triangles are concerned, well, I think that they are gorgeous, but that's no surprise, right? So again, they start off in the center of each side and then building off very, very nicely. And now the first triangles that we did it was just 3 tiers of the virus shells, right? Well, the second tier of the virus stitching that we did, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sets of the virus shells. So they get bigger and bigger and bigger as you keep going. Now, with the last tier, we had to get to, it was just to the right of center, which was in the last section, it was the 11th eyelet. This one, I believe it is the 19th, but we're gonna get started, and yeah, there we go. And by the way, after doing 3 of my 4 triangles for this tier, this is how much I have left for my initial skein of Pound of Love. So yes, I am going to have to go into a second skein of the Sugar Cookie colorway as well. Again, just to keep you informed. So that being said, we are going to start just to the right of center. Now I'm going to get you started. I'm not going to do the whole triangle on camera because it follows suit with exactly what we've been doing, but I'll get you started. So starting from the end here. Now this works if you did the exact number of rounds of granny stitching that I did. So if you went in a different direction, you can draw your own conclusions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. And if you look down, so do, and that is to the right of center. And so going to insert my hook like so, and pull up some new yarn. And again, we're going to be starting with the large eyelets, which is a chaining of 7. 1, 2, 3. Pull your tail just a little bit. So I got 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Slip stitch into the next eyelet. And I missed it. Of course I did. There we go. Another chaining of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Going to the next eyelet with a slip stitch. And then to continue on to the next row, chain 3 and slip stitch into the next eyelet. And that is the first row. All right, gonna take me a hot minute to turn my work, so be right back. Okay, so for the second row, going to scoot back into the chain 7 eyelet with 10 doubles. Again, this shouldn't be new to you, but I'm trying to be thorough, but I think that if I did the entire triangle, it would be redundant, so that's sort of the trade-off. So we already got 3. And 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then 10 into the next chain 7 loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, then quick count. Again, being sure not to count this chain that we did when we do our actual counting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Perfect. Okay, then going to anchor this little guy down into the next eyelet space, chain 3, and slip stitch into the next eyelet. There you go. Okay, next row, not round, is rather easy because it's just one double per double. So it's basically doubling back with a total of 20 doubles. Very, very simple. So scooting into that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then another 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, now, because, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so because the next row is going to be the doubles with the chain 1 spaces in between, this next join, we have to go that little step further. And so after doing a slip stitch to the next eyelet, chain 3, slip stitch to the next eyelet, and then do it again because we have to compensate for when we do our large eyelets in the row after this next row. So chain 3, slip stitch into the next, and then we can turn our work. So I will see you in just a second. Okay, so next row, well, we have to get back to here before we begin. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch right into there. There we go. And then going to start in with our doubles separated by chain 1 spaces. So right into this stitch right here with a double, chain 1, double in the next, chain 1, double in the next. So it's going to be 20 doubles separated by chain 1 spaces. And again, do not skip your doubles. No, we're just increasing the space in between our doubles, but we're not skipping any of our foundational double crochet stitches. And then we get to do the eyelets in the next row. And I think at that point you guys should be good. And then I'll do the rest of this tier triangle off camera. If you need a refresher, you can go back to the previous video parts. That's totally acceptable. But if you got this far, I think you got it. Okay, and just sort of scoot my work a little bit. And I should end up with a total of 20 if I counted correctly and if I did what I'm supposed to do correctly. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But I carry on. Oops, see? I didn't do my chain. I'm a little distracted today, I do apologize. There. Okay, so I should have my 20 doubles here. So let's see, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. Perfect! It's nice when things work out, isn't it? All right, so then from here, get in there. Thank you. Then anchor it down with a slip stitch into that next eyelet, chain 3, and slip stitch into the next eyelet. There we go. All right, gonna turn and see you in a bit. Okay, so since we just did the doubles with the chain 1 spaces, now it's time to make another eyelet row. So we need the big ones at the end here, so chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 into the second chain 1 space, single crochet. So get a nice big eyelet for the end there. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, skip a space, single in the next. And we're going to do that 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, skip a space, single in the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, skip a space, single in the next. Okay, then we have to do 2 big eyelets for the center here. So chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Skip a space, single into the next, chain 7 again, 1, 2, whoop, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skip a space, single into the next, and then we need to do 3 small loops followed by 1 last big loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, skip a space, single into the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, skip a space, single in the next, 1 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, skip a space, single in the next, and then we get a chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then, again, what I like to do is I like to go underneath these lighter stitches here and slip stitch into there, not into the eyelet space. You know, personally, I think it makes it look just a little bit neater. And then, of course, you would chain 3, slip stitch into the next eyelet, and then you would double back, doing your 10 doubles in here, chain 4, and continue on by doing your lattice work and your 10 doubles in each, etc., etc. It is the exact same thing that we did for this complete triangle piece down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up this triangle, which again is going to be 5 levels high, and then we will be in the home stretch. At least I will be, because then it'll be just a matter of adding more rounds of granny stitching, and then the blanket will be done. So I'm going to get to work. You get to work. Also, one last thing is that as far as, if this is your first triangle, do not sew in the end of that first triangle because, if you remember, you have to keep it open so that you can deal with it later after you're done with the next 3. Okay, so that's why this little guy still has his tail. All of my other tails are sewn in, but not this one. This was my first triangle. So just, wanted to give you a recap of what to do, how to do it, and how to proceed, and I will see you shortly. Alrighty. Okay, so we are more or less in the home stretch after much work. As you can see by the photo that I just showed, the dimensions of the blanket at this point are about 60 inches square. Now, I'm going to keep going with the granny stitching because it frames the piece nicely, I think. That's just personal opinion. So I can then, build it out even more. Now, if we're going based on the sequence of numbers and numerics, the first series of granny stitching that we did was 8 rounds. Then it was 9 rounds. So what I'm aiming to do is 10 rounds. Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't know after doing 10 rounds that would be numerically correct in order to keep going with the virus stitch, to be fair. But I don't plan on doing another tier of virus stitching. So I'm going to keep on keeping on with the granny stitching and then leave it at that as far as the size of my blanket is concerned, because I think it makes a really nice sized, throw. I'm not aiming to do like a queen-sized bed or anything. So if you want to play around with, the different numbers of granny rounds, in order to be able to do that, by all means, go right ahead. But just keep in mind that it keeps growing at, a fairly exponential rate, like the previous Kaleidoscope blankets that we've done here. That being said, going to start off doing the granny once again. So if you guys remember from the last part, so here's the bridge. I'm at one of my corners right now. Here's the bridge. So we've got 1, skip 1, 2, skip 1, 3, skip 1, 4, skip 1, 5. So it'll be in this space right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab my hook here and my yarn, and we can get busy with stitching the granny rounds. And I'm going to use up what's left in my first skein of the stone colorway, and I'm definitely going to have to go into the second one. So chain up 3, add 2 doubles. Got to pull out some more yarn. There we go. Going to do 2 more doubles. There we are. Skip a space, going into the next with 3 more doubles. And yes, I'm going to put a marker in, and then I'm going to do the same thing on every corner when I come to it. So pop you right in there just as a gentle reminder that's where our corner is. And then going to keep doing the granny stitching just as we have been previously. So, skip 1. Actually, let's just do a couple together, shall we? Why not? So I just did my cluster, so skip 1, granny in the next. And again, I'm still not doing any chain 1 spaces in between my granny clusters. Skip 1, granny in the next. Skip 1, granny in the next. And then on the following round, skip 1, granny in the next. Yeah. On the following round in the corner spaces, then you would do 2 clusters where the markers are and chain 2 in between your 2 clusters. So I got my 1 cluster there, got the bridge right here. So in here, 3 doubles, my little granny. There. And so just keep on keeping on all the way across. There we go. Okay, so gonna keep going all the way across. Do-do-do. Scooby-Doo, where are you? And when you reach the point, again, you would do a cluster into here and a cluster into here, skipping that bridge. Just treat it like any other bridge. And then keep moseying along until you reach this corner. And so again, skipping this bridge, so you'd be going into here. So that would be 1, skip 1, 2, skip 1, 3, skip 1, 4, skip 1, 5. So you would do a cluster into here, in between, put your marker. And then just keep working your way all the way around. When you hit the space with the marker in it, you would do 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles, and, well, it doesn't have to be 10 rounds. It could be more or less, whatever it is that you choose. But, that way you don't necessarily have to keep going on and on with more and more virus segments and sequences. So there you go. I think we pretty much covered it, don't you? I think so. Okie dokie. So I ended up doing about 5 rounds of the granny stitches. Initially, I was thinking of doing 10 because we started off with 8 rounds of the granny, then 9 rounds of the granny, and I thought, do 10. But at this point, I was sort of, done with the project. I was like, I think 5 caps it off nicely. And I did end up with a nice 64 inches by 64 inches, roughly speaking. There is some stretch factor involved. And I wasn't planning on doing another tier of the virus triangle bits on top after this anyway. Ultimately, I just wanted to do enough rounds of the granny stitching to mitigate the sort of waviness that is created by the virus stitching. And I absolutely love how this came out. And so if you want to, also if you're using a finer weight of yarn and a smaller sized hook, you might very well want to do another series of the virus triangles and make this even bigger, bigger, bigger. You can do that if you want to. Totally up to you. But I think that this totally suffices. Now, like I said, I don't know if doing 10 of the granny rounds would enable you to mathematically accurately do more of the virus stitching. I'm being perfectly honest with you because I have not made the project that big, nor do I think I would, but I'm just throwing stuff out there. At any rate, that is where we're at with the virus meets granny kaleidoscope blanket, and I couldn't be more happy with the results. I love this project. It is a merging of so many things that I absolutely love about crochet, and I'm so happy that I could share it with you guys. Yeah. And from the comments that I've seen thus far, you guys are enjoying this, and I'm so happy to oblige. And it gives me a nice warm and fuzzy feeling hearing from all of you. Thank you so very, very much. And again, last but not least, I want to give a big, big thank you to Lion Brand for sponsoring this video series. It's such a win-win in so many respects, and just a big thank you, seriously. And until next time, you know what to do, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, stay safe, take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. All right? You have a good one, and bye for now.